For all of you CEOs, here are 5 reasons you're working too many hours. Okay, the first one is hopefully not one of your reasons, but that's that you don't have a written down, thought out, formalized business plan and strategy. Something that you're literally working off every day, that you did year-end planning, you brought your team into it, you got buy-in from your team, there's many processes to do this. And what came out of it was a strategic plan that your company has buy-in and that you're working off, but that you are working on, or at least through, every day, every week, every month. Okay, so that's step number 1. You have to have that in place. Let's say, the goal is to exit your business. Okay, so how far out? Usually you're gonna have 3 or 5 year objectives, some long-term objectives, and then the next year's objectives, and it's broken down depending what type of style you use. And if your goal is to exit, then, you should be able to break that, maybe that's in 3 years, you should be able to break that down into the sum of its parts. And tomorrow you should have things you're working on that roll up to that exit plan. But these are just obvious, simple things, not simple, but obvious things, right? Like, maybe your EBITDA margins need to go up. Okay. So there's a whole gross margin, gross profit type of initiative that's built into the company. Maybe that involves some new product launches or some negotiations with buyers or with factories or whatever the case is. That's one part of it. Okay. And that's just good business practice, but that rolls up into your exit strategy, because you can't exit if you don't hit a certain, goal, EBITDA margin, or whatever it might be for your industry. This is maybe reason number 1, you're working too many hours, because these goals are put together. They are probably well thought out. There hopefully is buy-in, but then after a couple months, fires come to the surface and you spend your time on the fires and you're not spending your time working on your strategic plan. So that's the number 1. The next is going to be, do you really have a system for deep work? Okay, Deep Work, great book by Cal Newport. If you don't know who Cal Newport is, check him out. Excellent author. And, his term deep work really resonates with me. Okay, when you work, there's different methods, right? You might have heard of something called the Pomodoro method. That's like when you time slot, say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you do nothing but work on your objective. Then you take a break. Then you do another, say 30 minutes and work on your objective. Deep work is very similar. This is, thoughtful periods of your day that are focused just on your key goals. You don't let things get in the way. You create the right environment. And really, to make it easy, to give you a suggestion here at the CEO level, literally, if you just have a 2-hour morning, just call it, that's what I'll call it, a 2-hour morning. So I can break it really simple. I got my MITs. Those are my most important things. Those should come off of your written down strategic plan, right? And wake up every day for 2 hours, work on your MITs. Don't let anything else get in the way. That I would call deep work. I think Cal Newport, maybe he can go for 6 or 8 hours, right? But if you do 2 hours, you're going to be head and shoulders above most of your peers, in my opinion, because everybody gets sucked into this and into that, and then there's golf, and then there's the social events, and then there's just delegating things out. But there isn't a lot of you don't have to do 8 hours of deep work a day. You could just do 2. And trust me, in those 2 hours of high intensity, deep focus, you're going to be hitting your goals. So that's number 2, deep work. Number 3, what I've seen too much of is, CEOs will let the week happen to them instead of controlling the week themselves. So when you're letting the week happen to you, it's, you're not coming in Monday with an agenda, you're showing up and things are hitting you, so you need to flip that script. Okay. You're in charge of your time, your life, and your week. So you have to, maybe a Sunday night or Friday late afternoon, you're kind of spend 5 minutes and put an agenda and a quick little, goal list for the week. Stick with your, 2-hour mornings if you can. Have your written down strategic plan, and don't let the week happen to you. I think this is a really common thing. And this is actually great mentoring that you can do to the rest of your team. Okay, this is not just a CEO thing. This is, for your kids. This is for your teammates and your, directors and VPs and the leaders of every division. This should be taught throughout the company. In fact, there was a period where it's just getting out of control with just too much. I think we were kind of between systems that we were implementing. It was just too much stuff going on at work. And I think, we set some rules on when you cannot look at your email. Don't answer email during these certain times. Unfortunately, I don't think we held to it, but I was trying to kind of build that muscle within the company because it was just, emails were being I would send an email and it was being responded too quick. I was like, don't respond that quick. Don't just see an email and stop what you're doing and go respond to it, right? And I think everybody wants to do good, and an email comes from the CEO and they want to respond. And the message was like, no, focus on your deep work. If you're doing important work, if my email's really important, I'll call you, or I'll come down and ask you the question. If it's just an email, do it later. And that was like a key message that, you're trying to mentor and help out the team and build culture as well, right? A culture of that, hey, if you're working on something, it's important to keep working on that. You don't have to stop just because a director or CEO sends you something. And it was a helpful message and something that you can think about at your companies. The next one, number 4, I guess, is kind of similar to number 2 at deep work, and that is have your own method of how you're going to organize your time and your day, and give it a name. For me, it's just 2-hour mornings. Okay, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to and right away I'm not working, because I might be helping out with the kids, get them off to school, whatever the case is. But I'm going to have, when I get to work in that morning, it's 2 hours, as hard as I can go, those first 2 hours. I mean, even if there's meetings, I might push those till after, or I might push those to right before the 2 hours, and have your 2-hour morning. The other one was the Pomodoro idea, which is also a great one too, because sometimes it's hard to have 2 hours of focus, right? Maybe, we're talking about deep focus. Okay. And if you can get 30, 40 minutes in, that's a win. So do a couple of Pomodoros through the day. So that's number 4. That's the 4th reason that you don't have a specific plan. It's not that the week is happening to you. Okay, maybe you've conquered that one, but it's that every day is different. And, this day I've got meetings in the morning and the next day I got them in the afternoon. No, I mean, if you're the CEO, you tell other people when your meetings are going to be, right? You can set it up. When are you most effective? When do you think the best? Don't set meetings up during that time. Set them up what is convenient to you. It's your business. You can do it on your terms, and it makes it a lot more fun as well when you run things that way. Okay, and the 5th and final item here is that you don't have the right leadership team. This is an interesting one to think about, because people will say, gosh, you got to have the right leadership team and you got to get people who have this experience. And experience to me is the most important thing. That's something that I learned with maturity. As I made more mistakes, I'm like, what? I actually need experience. Okay. I don't need the eager beavers are great, but you need the experience more. They're worth every penny you pay them, but you can't always afford the experience, right? So this is something you kind of have to grow into. Your company's going to have to kind of get to a certain level where you can actually afford the level that I'm talking about at each of your, say, director roles, marketing, sales, finance, ops, and having those folks in place can make a world of difference. And when you have them in place, that's the 5th reason, because it's going to change your life. It's going to change how you work, how you delegate, how you plan, how you think, because now you're surrounded with people who are hopefully smarter than you are, right? You're not the smartest one in the room anymore. That's liberating. And it really, for the first time, maybe if you're not there yet, when you get there for the first time, you feel like maybe you're not on the island anymore. You can go into meetings and someone really can kind of empathize and understand what's going on, and they can give you better direction. And it's a goal. It should even be part of your strategic goals. It's that important if you're not there yet. And if you're there, but then you got a couple holes to fill, that should be part of the goals. Like talent is, top. It's the most important one besides, say, your vision, that you should always be seeking to improve at your company. So that'll be number 5 right there. A couple of other things that I just wanted to share with you. So early on, I didn't know how to plan, just as a young entrepreneur starting a company, I was just, moving 100 miles an hour. Everything was minimum viable product, 80-20, just, break things, do things quickly. But there were like points of frustration. But think about it like that. And I later learned, it's my fault. I kind of, without thinking this way, maybe as a fast moving entrepreneur, you expect people to read your mind. Okay. So you're working too many hours, you're grinding away, you expect them to read your mind, but you don't slow down and take the time to share the why with your team. Okay. Why are we doing this? Why is this our goal? Not just that this is the goal, but why is it the goal? When you do that, your team will step up. They're going to take stuff off your plate. This is a great way to kind of lessen the load and build more trust within the company and more leadership within the company. So, back to the top, when you don't have a plan, you don't have direction. When you don't have direction, you have anxiety. Trust me, as a CEO, you will be sitting there with too much anxiety in your chest because you don't even know what to work on, right? And when you have anxiety, that leads to paralysis, analysis paralysis. So the plan is so important, and working through your plan and making sure it's front and center. Have some visual aids, print it out, have it on the walls, have it in front of you on your desk. Don't get to that point of analysis, then paralysis, and the anxiety that's involved there, and then the inability to kind of break through your next goals that ultimately leads to. So at the end, it all starts with you. You're the CEO. All the accountability is on you. The most important thing you set is the vision. The vision does come from your plan. So we can start right back there at the top. I hope this list was helpful. If it was, please subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.